During the Mid-Yuan period, Hanley encounters the once familiar Yellowhorn Valley again, while enjoying a moment with his senior brother. What will happen between the two of them? The current Hanley, after escaping from the underground exchange meeting of the Great Jin, unexpectedly runs into the ancient demon that once fell into the southern Sky Devil Valley. After their confrontation, Hanley realizes he carries a heavy burden. This is not the time to get entangled with this demon. He uses the Blood Shadow Shield to escape. Phantom Shield. Isn't that the secretary of the Iron Wing Grind? How can a cultivator from the human realm also cast spells? This could be a bit troublesome. No. Something seems a bit different. After murmuring a few words, a hint of bright contemplation appears on his face. But just then, a spiritual light flickers in the distant sky. Soon after, 6 or 7 beams of different colors simultaneously emerge on the horizon and shoot towards this side. The ancient demon's expression changes. Startled out of his contemplation, he casts a cold glance at the approaching group. A hint of shyness flashes across his face, recalling the reason he was devoured years ago. Just finished refining it cleanly. Now it's devouring a batch. I suppose in a few years, the injuries will be completely healed. Emotion murmured to himself throughout his life. He then took a deep breath. Suddenly, large amounts of black and purple demonic energy surged out from his body. After a moment, it completely enveloped his figure. Then came a series of loud roars. The demonic energy rolled and surged. A gigantic two-headed, four-armed demon appeared, flickering in and out of the demonic energy. For black and purple demon branches stared emotionlessly at the fleeing lights shooting towards them. Huaing Prefecture is located in the eastern part of the Great Jin. It's a coastal continent. Most port towns are built by the sea. There are also many overseas merchants who often roam the coastal areas, exchanging various materials for some inland cultivation resources. The large businesses in Wall's state thrive year-round. The sects managing these businesses also enjoy a steady stream of significant temporary income every year. Within the sect, there are some smaller, more remote businesses. As long as they take advantage of their location, they also earn quite a bit. Kaijiang Town is a small town located just over 200 miles from the coast, and leaving this town belongs to a small hill far away. This hill is only about 200 to 300 feet high, covering an area of over 10 miles. The silver veins are even shorter and of poor quality. Even the families of immortal cultivators who catch giant crabs wouldn't even glance at it. Yet within this small hill, which can barely be called a spiritual mountain, there exists a small sect of immortal cultivators called Tanfu Gate. This gate can almost be considered the lowest existence among immortal cultivation sects. With the sect leader and elders, plus the disciples, there are barely over 100 people. Therefore, although the spiritual veins are small, they can barely accommodate the disciples of this sect. But don't be fooled by Tanfu Gate's decline. It still has a long-standing history, although it's not like Tiny Gate or Luo sect, which have been passed down since ancient times. But tens of thousands of years ago, the founder of this gate, a gifted immortal, once shook the entire realm with the 3 secret symbols he created, even almost allowing this gate to rank among the top 10 righteous sects of that time. This sect once had tens of thousands of members, gathering in a state. It was just that fortune and blessings brought both success and downfall. Although the Heavenly Fortune sect has some unique insights in the way of cultivation, its main cultivation methods are quite ordinary. After several generations, this sect quickly fell into decline. Now, tens of thousands of years later, the Heavenly Fortune sect can only rely on some special resources from the blessings and rewards to barely continue its legacy. Such a declining sect, besides some smaller sects in similar situations, has also attracted other higher-level cultivators. The disciples of the Heavenly Fortune sect, who are responsible for the daily duties, usually spend their free time not in meditation or cultivation, but in casual chatting. On this particular day, the disciples who were in charge of the gate gathered together, sighing and looking dispirited. Is it true that senior brother Lee is really going to close the sect? Although I'm still new here, I know that the 3 yuan method accounts for almost half of our sect's income. Without this source of revenue, it will be even harder for our sect to survive. Among them, a handsome male disciple, around 16 or 17 years old, hesitantly asked another, "Is closing the sect something we can decide? Whether the door is closed or not is not something we can decide." A few days ago, Lin Feng sect has given the sect leader their final ultimatum. The options are either to merge with them or shut down within 3 months. It's just bullying with power. The other person is a young man around 24 or 25. He's a bit on the chubby side, he said helplessly. Merging options seem to sound okay, The young disciples were surprised. What do you mean? Okay, I heard from an elder that after the merger, we won't be allowed to interfere in any business. Linfeng sect will only give us 1,000 snacks each year, if that. What good is that little bit of snacks? It's not even a third of our original income. The young man huffed a few times and said indignantly, they only offer so little. How can our sect agree to that? Even if Linfeng sect is powerful, how could Jingsha Mountain and Mingyang Valley agree? The three-eyed method is managed by both of those and our Tanfu sect. If the three of us join forces, we wouldn't have to be too afraid. After the young disciple from Linfeng sect rolled his eyes. The young disciple of the Linfeng sect rolled his eyes after a moment. He said with suspicion, Hang is just a temporary door. Our sect indeed doesn't need to be overly fearful. But I've heard that there seems to be a shadow of the Danyang sect involved in this matter. This is truly a legitimate mid-tier sect. It's not something a small sect like ours can contend with. Today, the sect leader has invited the leaders of both sects to the mountain. They must be discussing countermeasures. The situation of these two sects is not weaker than our Tanfu sect. They won't easily give up their income. The young man spoke up to explain. He clarified about the Danyang sect. This is indeed not something our Tanfu sect can provoke. It seems that our sect is going to have a tough time with this. The young disciples, upon hearing the name of the Danyang sect, were greatly disheartened. If the income from within the sect decreases, the snacks these disciples receive each year will naturally also be greatly reduced. Forget it. These matters are not for us lowly disciples to meddle in. Let everything be handled by the sect leader and the elders. After all, even if our sect doesn't do well, it's still better than becoming a scattered group. Let's just honestly guard the mountain gate. No more discussions about this matter. Let's stop discussing this matter. Otherwise, it will be discovered by the other attendants, and they'll deduct our snacks again. Hey, what's that? The young man sighed. It seemed he had come to terms with the matter, but after casually glancing up at the sky, he suddenly became startled. The young disciple was so taken aback that he forgot to move. He saw a flicker of light far away in the sky. Then, a tree-like figure appeared in the air, long and greenish-red. It was heading towards them. Which senior is this? It seems to be coming our way. The greenish-red light was moving incredibly fast. In the blink of an eye, it was not far from them. The young disciple called out in panic. Although he had just joined recently, such an astonishing light was definitely not something from within the sect. The few renowned wives of the sect could not possibly display such power. Naturally, they felt greatly uneasy. I don't know. Maybe it's here to find our master uncle. This year, feeling equally lost, he could only comfort himself by saying this. After a moment, the greenish-red light flew near White Bamboo Mountain. It seemed to have spotted two disciples from Tanfu Gate in the distance. With a flash of light, the greenish-red figure descended rapidly. The brilliance illuminated the area. In front of the two, a tree stood tall. A young man in a blue robe, around 20, stepped forward. The young man looked over, with his hands clasped behind his back. This is indeed the Tanfu Gate of Baiju Mountain. The young man's appearance was ordinary, but his presence was extraordinary. He glanced at the faintly visible fan door behind the two. He casually asked about the missing Hanley since the trading event. It had already been for months since she escaped from the airdrome. This is Baiju Mountain. Is there something you need my assistance with, senior? Although these two disciples were still inexperienced, they couldn't discern Hanley's true cultivation level, but they quickly realized that the person in front of them was definitely a senior expert above the foundation establishment stage. After a quick glance, the young man hurriedly said with a deep breath, as long as I'm not in the wrong place, that's good. I also brought something that has a significant connection to the cabinet door. I need to see the master of the cabinet door. Please inform them. Hanley nodded, calmly saying, please wait a moment, senior. The young man fumbled to take out a sound transmission talisman. After the doctor said a few words, he quickly tossed the communication talisman behind him. The fortune and blessings instantly transformed into a flash of fire. The fleeting moment vanished without a trace into the realm. Meanwhile, Hanley appeared to remain motionless in place, but beneath his calm exterior, he gently swept the small mountain with the divine stone. Although separated by a layer of mirror, Hanley could still vaguely sense the general outcome. He slightly furrowed his brows. Even though he already knew before coming that Tanfu sect was definitely not large, the fact that a cultivation sect had only over 100 members made him sense that the initial stage of the artistic name was merely a minor sect residing on the mountain. It seemed this sect, just as that wise elder had said, was truly just a low-tier small sect. If it weren't for the fact that those few pieces of donkey hide gelatin appeared in Huayan Prefecture, and he had also learned the refining method of descending and ambushing. He wouldn't have specifically come to such a place. Moments later, a burst of yellow light flashed behind the two mountain-guarding disciples. Then, a towering mountain gate appeared. Within the mountain gate, several cultivators walked out side by side. These cultivators crossed past the two disciples, and after glancing over at Hanley, their expressions changed dramatically at the same time. Several people's expressions changed drastically at the same time. A figure in a yellow robe hurriedly stepped forward, facing Hanley, who was lost in memory. He said, "Junior here. Is the sect leader? Yuazhen? I didn't expect the esteemed elder to visit. I apologize for not being able to welcome you properly. I hope the elder can forgive me. This person has already reached the 7th level of foundation building. Although I can't accurately gauge Hanley's true cultivation, as the sect leader, my insight is naturally far beyond that of the two disciples. I've seen a few cultivators at the Yuanying stage, so I can sense it." After sensing the same powerful aura from Hanley, he couldn't help but feel anxious. Such a powerful cultivator could probably wipe out their small sect with just a flick of a finger. The fate of their sect truly felt unpredictable. Initially, upon receiving the message, he thought it was just a cultivator at the foundation stage. To be safe, before coming out, he had even sent someone to summon the only elder in the sect. That cultivator at the foundation stage had lost. But now it seemed it was all unnecessary. Heh. You guys don't need to panic. Hey, you guys don't need to panic. I came here at someone else's request. There's no ill intent. Hanley Jian, these disciples all look anxious. I couldn't help but chuckle at the request. The younger generation is a bit confused. But this isn't the place for idle talk. Senior, let's go up the mountain. We can discuss it in detail later. The more genuine the words, the more at ease I felt. Then, I actively invited Hanley to go up the mountain. Going up the mountain sounds good. This matter definitely can't be explained in just a few words. Hanley nodded slightly in agreement with Chenying. Then please, Senior, come in. Lezen was overjoyed. He quickly stepped aside to let Hanley go first. As a sign of respect, Hanley didn't stand on ceremony. She lifted her leg and entered the mountain gate. The other disciples followed closely behind, looking respectful. Baiju Mountain, and very large. There aren't many buildings at the summit. Besides a main hall, there are a few pavilions. The disciples' training areas are located elsewhere. Hanley was directly led by this Tanfu, and Hanley was directly approached by this heavenly figure. The gatekeeper let them into the main hall. What surprised Hanley a bit was that there were two other middle-aged cultivators in the shop who were not from the talent sect. They were dressed in traditional robes and sitting there. As soon as these two saw Hanley in her green attire, they immediately jumped up from their chairs in shock. They hurried over to pay their respects to Hanley. Hanley waved her hand lightly. One of them then unceremoniously sat down in a chair. The other cultivators didn't dare to take a seat, and had to stand by waiting. Yuazhen, feeling a bit apologetic, spoke to the two cultivators from his faction. "Fellow Taoists, please excuse the closed door. It seems we'll have to discuss this matter in detail another time. Heh. This esteemed senior has graced us with their presence, so naturally, fellow Taoists should accompany them first. Yes, my brother Lu and I will take our leave now." The two cultivators quickly expressed their understanding, and showed an unusually envious expression. Then, they bid farewell to Hanley, and gracefully exited the main hall. Almost at the same time, a flash of spiritual light appeared outside. A beam of white light shot directly into the hall. An old man in a white robe emerged from the light. When Yuazhen and the other cultivators saw this, they hurriedly showed joyful expressions and rushed forward to greet him. They hurriedly showed their joy and rushed forward, being rude. "Greetings from Master Wen and Master Wen." The old man's gaze naturally fell on Hanley. His facial muscles twitched suddenly. He hurriedly cupped his fists and said, "I apologize for the negligence of the younger generation. I heard that a great person has graced our sect. I didn't expect it to be such a senior. I failed to go out and welcome you. I truly apologize, esteemed elder." He looked at the elder with utmost respect. Yuazhen and the other 7 cultivators were shaken upon hearing the old man's words. The last trace of doubt in their hearts completely vanished. They looked at Hanley with even more reverence. For the current Tanfu sect, the presence of Yuanying is truly unattainable. I am merely entrusted by others to bring something over. There's no need for such formality. Hanley's expression remained unchanged as he paused for a moment. He said lightly, "This item has been in my possession for some years now. I happen to have business in Huayan Prefecture, so I naturally need to return this item. This item was specifically entrusted to the sect master." Senior was on a trip overseas when he suddenly vanished without a trace. In the blink of an eye, Decades pass with no news. Senior Cloud hasn't run into trouble, has he? The old man winks and asked with concern. He should be fine. Actually, my encounter with the esteemed headmaster was also a coincidence. It happened decades ago. I experienced the same kind of ordeal as the esteemed headmaster. At that time, I was still in the ghost house in Lijiang. I briefly recounted the events that took place in that remarkable place. Naturally, I didn't mention much about myself and the shock I experienced. I just let it pass without going into detail. It's hard to believe there are such dangerous places in the world. No wonder. For many years now, cultivators have been mysteriously disappearing along the coast. So, it turns out this ghost is causing trouble. The old man winks and gasped upon hearing about the inability to use magic in that remarkable place. This is truly alarming. It's truly unimaginable. No wonder. For many years now, there have been occasional disappearances, mysteriously along the coast. It turns out this ghost is causing trouble. The elder winks and heard about this. The fact that one cannot use their powers in this place. He took a deep breath. This is a matter of great importance. It's just that the sect leader entrusted me with the opportunity to deliver it to the cabinet. However, I have quite an interest in the way of uniforms. I've also done some research on the method of descending and refining. I hope you fellow cultivators won't take offense. Hanling smiled, his eyes flickering for a moment as he said, Senior, returning the Lin Fu Chain's treatment method to our sect is already a tremendous favor. How could we have such ungrateful thoughts? Although it is said that only the sect leader can master the method of descending blessings. If it weren't for the senior returning this item, even the secretary would have been lost. Naturally, there would be no talk of any rules. Elder Wen Din said with a flushed face. Yuezhen also repeatedly agreed from the side. With such an open-minded attitude, I, Han, feel a bit embarrassed. However, the item has already been delivered, and I have fulfilled a wish of mine. So, I will take my leave now. Han and I nodded in satisfaction. She immediately stood up. We have yet to repay the favor of Senior Songwu. Why not stay a couple more days in our sect? So, we can show a bit of hospitality. Elder Wen Din was very happy about the recovery of the method from Zhejiang Lin Fu. But he was even more focused on building a connection with this suddenly descending expert, he hurriedly said, without mentioning anything else. But what they were more focused on was establishing some connections with this suddenly appearing expert. They hurriedly said, putting aside other matters. In a hurry, I said, let's not talk about anything else. As long as someone knows they can make a connection within the Vowel 7 repair room, I'm afraid the status of Tanfu sect will immediately rise sharply among the smaller sects. Even the big trouble they are facing right now might be easily resolved. Let's sit for a while longer. Hanley smirked slightly, revealing a half-smile expression. Isn't Senior Han interested in the path to wealth? Our sect, not to mention anything else, has some research on refining fortune and blessings. The immortals within the sect have also collected many various texts related to fortune and blessings. If the senior doesn't mind, you can take a look, and perhaps guide us juniors a bit. Yuezhen's eyes twinkled, and suddenly she spoke up like this. Uniform texts. Hanley adjusted his posture slightly, pondered for a moment, and felt somewhat tempted. The old man Wen Din was taken aback, and nodded repeatedly, agreeing. One indeed have quite an interest in uniforms. Let's stay at the cabinet for a few days then. Ever since Hanley learned about the descending mansion, he has been very curious about the uniforms of Tanfu sect. After thinking for a moment, he finally nodded. It's great that you, Senior, can stay. It's an honor. Would you like to rest for a bit first? Senior? Tomorrow, there will be a meeting with the Elder Wen, he said cautiously. No need for that. Just take me to the treasure pavilion now. He shook his head. With his current cultivation level, as long as he meditates a bit while reading, on the way, this little bit of magical energy will naturally recover. Alright then, Yang. Please take Senior Han to our sex library for a look. If the senior has any requests, we will definitely fulfill them all. The Elder Wen's face has already changed. He hurriedly instructed a middle-aged cultivator. Understood, Uncle Shai. Senior Han, please follow me. The middle-aged cultivator replied with great effort. Hanley nodded, following this person out of the main hall. I really didn't expect that Brother Yun was actually trapped in such a ghostly place. No wonder he went missing so mysteriously back then. The summoning talisman of our sect has been found again. That's also a good sign for our sect. The elder with the surname Wen and others. Hanley left the main hall for quite a while. The elder sighed and said, however, if we can take this opportunity to teach this Senior Han well, and let some rumors spread, it would definitely be beneficial for our sect. Not to mention, the current issue at hand can at least be resolved smoothly. another disciple who had not spoken all along. He said slowly, "There's a reason for having a backing. Naturally, when facing a closed door, one would retreat 3 steps. Even the single sheep sect wouldn't offend someone over a trivial matter. I just heard from Senior Han that it seems like there's a wise place. It's just that the relationship with Brother Yun is quite ordinary. Given the other party's status, why would they help us for no reason? Even if we want to offer treasures to strengthen our ties, there's really nothing in the door that could catch the senior's eye. But if we miss this opportunity, it would be such a pity. The more I think about it, the more I can't help but smile bitterly. Is it really that tricky?" The elder winks and frowned and said. The other cultivators in the shop exchanged glances, all showing signs of worrying. At that moment, after exchanging glances with the other decorations in the store, they all showed expressions of worrying. At that moment, Hanley has arrived with that middle-aged man. They've come to a rather unremarkable attic. This attic is divided into 3 levels. It's completely shrouded in a light blue barrier. When Hanley entered the first level with the middle-aged man, there was an old man inside. He was sitting cross-legged on a mat. He was holding a piece of jade in his hand, as if he was examining its contents. Li Shizhi came over to greet Senior Han. The middle-aged man immediately ordered the old man without hesitation. At the same time, he turned around and respectfully began to explain to Hanley. This Li Shizhi is specifically responsible for managing the Li Kangjin Pavilion, and he knows all the various texts in the pavilion like the back of his hand. At this moment, it seemed the old man was just awakened by the middle-aged man's voice from his cocoon. He hurriedly put away his inspection tool, quickly jumped up and ran over. It turned out that young Shibo had failed in his duty, and did not come out to welcome them. He was also here to apologize to Shibo. "This is Senior Han." The old man had a face full of wrinkles. With small eyes, there was a hint of shrewdness in his gaze, and he smiled at the middle-aged man. But when he caught sight of Hanley, his voice trembled instantly. The voice trembled suddenly. The expression suddenly froze. After Li Shizhi and Hanley clearly saw the old man's face, their eyes sparkled with interest. His face was full of strange colors. How does the senior recognize this place? He had changed since middle age. Unable to help himself, he asked what was going on. "This friend really resembles someone I know, a figure from my past." But upon closer inspection, it wasn't him after all. "It seems I've mistaken the person." The strange look on Hanley's face quickly disappeared. With a faint smile, he said, "Ah, I see. So, the senior is here to study alone. Then, you don't need to tidy up here anymore. Come with me outside." The middle-aged man naturally wouldn't believe this, but he didn't dare to ask too much. Instead, he turned his hand and instructed his subordinate. "If it's a mistake, then don't worry about it. Since this friend knows so much about the books in the loft, I still have things to borrow from him. Let him stay with me for a few days." Hanley suddenly chuckled and said, casting a meaningful glance at the old man, "But since the senior has instructed so, the younger generation will naturally comply. But since the senior has instructed this way, I will naturally comply. Your opportunity has come, Master Li. You must definitely listen to Senior Han's instructions." The middle-aged cultivator, although he had some doubts about the performance of the two just now, this Master Li, being able to spend a few days alone with a Yuanyin cultivator, truly made him envious. Not to mention, just by casually pointing out a few things, they might benefit immensely from someone of such a low cultivation level. However, Hanli's intention to send him off was very clear, and he didn't dare to stay here any longer. After giving the old man a few words of advice, he left with a hint of confusion in his heart. Hanley watched the middle-aged cultivator's figure disappear from the attic. Turning his face, the old man revealed a meaningful expression. "I wonder if I should call you senior brother, or should I call you Master Li?" After carefully examining the old man again, Hanley suddenly spoke up, saying, "What did Senior Han say? I don't quite understand." "Junior Murphy seems to resemble someone you know." Senior, rubbing his eyes and turning them a few times, the earlier unusual expression completely vanished. With a face full of smiles, he said, "At this point, why does senior brother still need to hide things? Why does brother need to be so secretive? Don't forget, we cultivators have excellent memories. Back in the blood-forbidden land, the disciples of the Huangfang clan who managed to come out were just a few of us. Even after so many years, how could I possibly mistake someone?" Hanley raised an eyebrow and squinted as he spoke. This old man was actually the one who had tried to team up with Hanley before the bloody trial. At that time, this man, with a cultivation level of the 70th layer, had also emerged from the bloody trial. He had surprised many of the onlookers. Back then, however, Hanley's later performance was even more astonishing, which made everyone overlook this person. Although Hanley hadn't interacted much with this senior back then, seeing him walk out alive from that ordeal had raised her alertness. She had a vague feeling that this person was hiding some secret. After Hanley successfully established her foundation and was taken under Li Huayuan's wing, she never saw the old man again, and gradually forgot about him. After the invasion of the 6 demonic sects into the Yue kingdom, she had no idea whether he was alive or dead, but what he never expected was that after so many years, he would see this familiar face again, in a small sect in the Great Jin. How could Hanley not be greatly shocked? You have to know that when the old man appeared in the ancient times of the Hornet, he already looked like this at such an old age. So many years have passed, let alone the other party being a chair refining mechanic. Even the Juji mechanic should have long turned to dust. But now it seems, this person, like my senior brother, looks almost exactly the same as he did over 200 years ago. This made Hanley's heart sink. At the very least, this person must have played the role of a pig to eat the tiger during the bloody trial back then. I just don't know what his purpose was for sneaking in. Hanley stared at the old man without blinking, her mind racing with various thoughts. The world is vast and full of wonders. It seems there really is someone in this world who looks just like a junior. However, the senior has mistaken the person. The junior's surname is Li, not Xiang. Otherwise, if I could really connect with someone of the senior's status, how could I not acknowledge it? If I could really connect with someone of such status as you, senior, I definitely want to build a relationship. How could I possibly deny that? The old man firmly denied what he said. There was not a hint of willingness to back down. Hanley's expression darkened. A flicker of annoyance crossed her eyes. Since you say so, my friend, I might have truly mistaken the person. Never mind, my friend. Let's first point out some of the texts on uniforms. Please show me the relevant records. Pan Lin was silent for a moment, then suddenly changed his tone with a smile. Senior, please follow me. Since our sect is called Tanfu sect, there are naturally quite a few texts on uniforms. However, the slightly more profound texts are all on the 2nd floor or above. I'll point them out to you right away, senior. The smile on his old face remained unchanged, and he truly acted like an ordinary low-level disciple, leading Hanley directly to the 2nd floor. The 2nd floor was arranged very similarly to the first. Layer upon layer of bookshelves filled a small area. As Hanley scanned the surroundings, the old man had already moved swiftly. Despite his old appearance, his movements were surprisingly agile. In just a moment, he skillfully rummaged through and found a small pile of jade slips. Then he panted slightly. With a sigh, I brought these jade pieces in front of Hanley, trapped in awkward flattery towards the senior. These are the treasured books of fortune and prosperity collected on this level. There are also some juniors on the 3rd floor. Let me help you get this down, senior. The senior is putting in a lot of effort to find it. There's no need to go through all this trouble. These preliminary checks are enough to last a day or two. The 3-layered classics can be found by me. Han, you don't need to stay here with me. You can go downstairs and take care of your own matters. Han Ling stroked his chin. He said with a kind expression, then I won't disturb you any longer. If you have any instructions, Senior Han, just call for me. I'll be waiting downstairs. The old man smiled politely and said, then place the jade cocoon on a nearby shelf before carefully retreating from the 2nd floor of the jello. Watching the old man's disappearing figure, the smile on Hai's face gradually faded, revealing a hint of seriousness. So, can you tell what this person's cultivation level is? Senior, I just used the divine stone to forcefully skin this person's body. Although I saw through his surface cultivation level of the chair refining stage, it's just an illusion. But the true level of this person's power cannot be determined. Beneath that layer of false cultivation, their entire body seems hollow. It's really strange. I'm the same way. Although the divine stone is much stronger than you, the emotional connection I encountered is just like yours. The serious voice of the great-eyed god came through. How could this happen? Could it be that this person's divine stone is actually much stronger than the predecessors? The group was somewhat shocked. How could such a thing not be possible? Even if there is a divine stone in this generation, it wouldn't be strong enough to block my probing with just their divine will. Such a situation has occurred before. No wonder this person must be practicing some special technique, or has some kind of quality that allows their body to change into this form. There's also another possibility. The great-eyed god hesitated as he spoke. How could that be? Hanley couldn't help but ask a question. Hanley couldn't help but ask, what do you think?